Hey guys, what's
Some
up?
people.
It's RBX57 here, and look at this shit. I'm gonna sell this Shen, get that spatula, 11 characters. How are you doing? The third time I'm playing TFT, I'm already basically a god at it.
Oof.
Yeah, I'm about to get wrecked though. Alright, 11 characters. 12 characters, you ready for this shit?
What are you gonna put in the asshole?
I think I put like Swain back in or something. It's too many.
Holy shit,
Oh,
that
dude,
asshole.
you're getting wrecked.
Oh,
Oh! 11 characters! Oh, no.
wait,
no,
wait,
no,
redemption,
no,
redemption,
No,
redemption.
no,
yes.
Come on! No!
Oh my fucking god. Get wrecked.
No!
Oh. And the winning streak continues.
Ah, fuck you. What is up guys, today is the day we continue our talk about mages and how to go beast mode on them. Allow me to tell you something about myself. In 2008 a noob kid saw his big brother play World of Warcraft and wanted to play World of Warcraft too. So he made a dwarf hunter named Kirby. Fast forward to 2010 and I found a server called Molten. I joined some guilds, became less and less of a useless noob, learned what kek meant and eventually, oh no, small town. But when humanity is faced with adversity, some of us say, nah, fuck that shit and keep going. So that's what I did. After the Moltown I joined some guilds. The more notable were Dignity, Flawless, Royal Flush and more that I don't remember. Until I finally found my way to Asperity as of today, where I still enjoy the 3.3.5 Red of the Lich King content as I've always had. Any questions? Leave them in the comments below. Now let's get back to the video. We will take a look at these 5 points. If you learn them all, you will be able to go beast mode on mage. 1. Stats, gear, talents. All of them are crucial to success in an MMORPG. As you can clearly see here, no gear equals no damage. 2. We will also be looking at the rotation, some useful macros, how and when to pop cooldowns. I'll even tell you about a little something a old school mage as me used to call rolling ignite. 3. Positioning, what to do on movement and how to cast blink amongst other defensives. 4. Some mana issues can be had on the longer fights. Together, we'll learn how to make it better. 5. And last but definitely not least, aggro. Allow me to start showing you how to go beast mode. Point 1. Stats, gear, talents. So, it is an MMORPG. You can't expect to do much without the code on your side. That said, I can't just end the video here, so let's talk about the thing that everyone can get right first, the talent tree. On mages there are 3 specs really worth mentioning: Arcane, Frost Firebolt also known as FFB, and Torment the Weak also known as TTW. For Arcane it is a simple build, pretty straightforward. The only thing people can do wrong here is take 5 out of 5 Arcane stability. With concentration aura you only effectively need 65%, so 80% from the talents will suffice. Also you need to choose if you want slow or arcane barrage. Alternatively, I've heard but never confirmed that Incanter's absorption is really good. I really don't know much about arcane myself though, so don't expect a great deal of knowledge about it. Glyph setup is super easy too. Arcane blast, arcane missiles, arcane power and you are Gucci. For Frost Firebolt we have this talent tree right here. With the reduced mana cost that Frost Firebolt has over Torment the Weak, you can allow yourself a few fun spells such as Dragon's Breath and Blast Nova instead of Master of Elements, great for those pesky Lich King spirits in phase 3. Not much to say about the talents here besides the little mana thing. I did hear rumors about Shadow working on the Lich King's transition phase, but Glyphs are standard AF, you can't really pick any alternatives. Takes Frost Firebolt, Living Bomb and Molten Armor. And for TTW the talents look like this. If you are an absolute mad lad, you can choose to do the same mana thing we did with Frost Firebolt with the Master of Elements thing. Although seriously I do not suggest you to deviate from this because the mana TTW consumes, Jesus. Glyphs cannot be deviated either. Molten Armor, Fireball, Living Bomb. That's it. So, now we've done the absolute basic, a naked character with only the proper talent tree. Keep in mind that I can only tell you what I prefer. I think that the best thing to play for you is the thing that you enjoy playing yourself. Do you prefer Arcane over my personal favorite FFB? Feel free, mate. I know you will enjoy the game a lot more if you actually enjoy the game. So now the gear divide will appear. I really don't want to chew on regurgitated information everyone is one Google search away from finding out themselves for longer than necessary. So here are the lists on your screen right now. This one is for TTW. This one is for FFB. And this one is for Arcane. I'm kind of trying to drag it out so you can actually see them. Yeah. Stats, however, I will give a small amount but concise amount of information on. For all the classes you want to prioritize hit rating first, that's just a general rule, and Arcane needs 17%, that's 446 rating. They get 3% from Arcane Focus and Precision, giving a total of 6%. In raids there will usually be either a Boomkin or a Shadow Priest, which also give 3%. These debuffs don't stack, however. But now we are on 9% hit. Add in a Draenei buff and we now have 10% free hit rating on Arcane, leaving you with only 7% or 184 hit rating to gear, which is fucking absurd. For FFB you want the same 17% hit rating, however you only have the Precision talent this time, so you'll need 14% hit rating, which is 367 rating, minus the 3% from either a Boomkin or a Shadow Priest, and you will end up at 11% or 289 hit rating, and of course 10% with a Draenei in your group, 262 rating with all the buffs on an FFB Mage. TTW requires the most of all hit rating, lacking both Arcane Focus and Precision. They need 14% hit rating and of course 13% with the Draenei, which leaves you at 341 with the Draenei or 367 without the Draenei. After you've gotten hit capped, you can go nuts on the spell power gems in the reds, purified dreadstones on the purples, and spell power plus crit ratings on the yellows. Do not gem full crit, however. Even with FFB having a 230% crit modifier, I'm going to boldly assume spell power will do more than crit ever will. The ease of gemming is just another reason why Mage is seriously too easy to play. Now for the fun part. The rotation part is where you'll find Mage is almost uncontested in simplicity. I won't say much about it because Mage is not about the rotation or priority list or whatever you want to call it. Mage DPS in my opinion is more about stacking procs with cooldowns, rolling ignites and positioning. I mean, fucking look at this shit. Arcane just goes for a few Arcane Blasts and then Arcane Missiles. That's their entire rotation. FFB starts with a Living Bomb, but never ever reset it before it explodes. Never. Scorch if there is no 5% crit debuff, then the instant Pyroblast, and after that you can go for Frostfire Bolt. Pretty decent rotation. TTW has the Living Bomb gimmick again, where you do not reset it before it explodes. Scorch, again with the 5% if there is no 5% crit debuff in the raid. Instant Pyroblast and Fireball. It's basically the same as the FFB rotation, except here we have Fireball. It can't be called anything but a simple priority list that revolves around 4 buttons maximum. Arcane even only has 2. Why did Blizzard decide this has to be one of the best DPS classes? Enhancement Shamans have to try about 15,000% harder and only get about 50% of the result. So let's talk about macros. Macros can be made in-game and it allows you to write small scripts that you can use to make your life a whole lot easier. Here are all of mine. First off, every mage can use this macro that allows them to turn Ice Block off and on with just a simple press of the button. The next macro is what I like to call the Boom macro, a very simple one indeed, yet very effective. For Arcane, the most important macro is this one. It's a very important macro that Shadow Priests also really need. Basically, it prevents you from interrupting your own channeling. Very useful. That's all of the important macros I could find and think of that you really need to know. If you have any other suggestions that you think other people should know, however, feel free to put it in the comments below. Me and all your fellow mages that read that comment are gonna be thankful. Anyway, here is why you clicked on this video. You already know all of the information I just fed you like a big mama bird. The shit I'ma hit you with right now though? Oh boy, that's why I feel confident saying, yeah, I thought about this. Rolling ignites is what separates the good mages from the bad mages. Arcane aside for just a moment. If you get 2 crits in a row with a fire-based spell, the next Pyroblast becomes instant. It is crucial to understand when these will happen so you can cast them faster and avoid having your procs override each other. You should also keep in mind when you're putting Living Bomb, like you could just spam them all over the place, but spacing them out like 1 Living Bomb, 1 Frost Firebolt, 1 Living Bomb, 1 Frost Firebolt. This will make it a lot more overseeable when you get these procs, and it will, you know, potentially lead to a DPS increase. Adding to that, if you do this on the wave of Valkyrs, you can get the full dot damage from Frost Firebolt, and you know, even the occasional dot from the instant pyro on a singular Valkyr, which should take for like maybe 4 or 5k damage. So think ahead in the battle. When you put a Living Bomb, mentally make that timer, then make another timer if you put another Living Bomb. How does this fit into rolling ignites? Simple, more Pyroblast equals more Ignite. Ignite is an ability that puts a damage over time or dot on the target, which stacks to some bizarre numbers. In order for it to stack though, you need to keep hitting critical spells. If done properly, you will be consistently able to get a good Ignite tick, especially if you factor in combustion. And now for our main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our fun little game show called How to Use That. I just did this in the last video. It's not a game show. We got 3 cooldowns to talk about on 2 classes. Yes, I regret to inform you that I have never enjoyed or liked Arcane, and I'm not going to Google the information. You could also Google and then pretend I know something about it, so I'm not gonna talk about the Arcane cooldowns. I do not know how to space them, I do not know when to use them, how to use the trinkets, I don't know, sorry. But cooldowns on fire are as crucial as my plan to build a time machine, to go back in time, and to do something about that Game of Thrones final season, eh? When you have cooldowns by themselves, they will help you burst hard. But if you have cooldowns with your trinkets up, oh boy, that is next level. Kind of how Game of Thrones Season 8 is like a whole next level of shit. The key to being top DPS on many fights is knowing when to proc your cooldowns. Do you wait a while for your trinkets to come back up? Will you even have a third rotation of cooldowns before the boss dies? When do we pop Heroism or Bloodlust? Did you just die and lose all your buffs? There is a bunch of reasons why every fight requires slightly different cooldown usage. And before you think about it, you never realize it. So this is me waking you up. Hi guys. Think before you pop your load. Fuck, I forgot the other 2. Nah, never mind. Positioning and movement. If you want to achieve pro movement and skills, you must discipline yourself externally and internally. Positioning is of massive importance to any class on any World of Warcraft expansion. I dare even say any game ever, really, just any ever game ever. On our lovely little current patch, however, we have Blink, and that is really all you need. It instantly teleports you into the direction that you are facing, and it is lovely indeed. And it should be used to its maximum potential. Do remember, however, that if it is on cooldown, it is on cooldown. This is what my tombstone will say one day, guys. DPS is damage per second. The second part is important here. Not that the indication of the second part of this video. No, I meant the indication of time, like a second. I think this is the very essence of dealing damage. If you can fill every single global cooldown of a fight with something useful, you are on your way to what I perceive as greatness in this game. We do that by knowing how to position and what spells to use. We handle moving by making a little priority list of highest instant damage cast spells. This is what I could come up with. First, instant pyro, obviously. Second, fire blast to proc that instant pyro as well. Third is Dragon's Breath. I'm pretty sure it can also proc that instant pyro. The fourth is Blast Nova. I think it does more damage than Cone of Cold. Maybe it can proc Ignite, I don't know. After that, Cone of Cold, Arcane Explosion, or Ice Lance if your mana is too low for Arcane Explosion. Of course, do not move unless you are absolutely forced to. Now, as I've said before, on the longer fights, mages can struggle hard with mana, and since you aren't allowed to ask for any innervates, you need to manage it by yourself. Do this by popping mana gem early and often, and if there is downtime in a really long fight, you can even create another mana gem. After 2 casts, it will have paid for itself. Evocation is important as well. I suggest using it right after the Lich King's transition phase, or when you've just left the Shadow Realm on Halion 25 Heroic. If you are lower geared though, you might need to cast it mid-fight due to having less mana. And last but not least, Aggro. A very important mechanic on any boss fight that will leave many good geared yet inexperienced mages dead on almost any boss. With great power comes great responsibility after all. I'm not going to tell you what Aggro is in this video. If you want me to give you a in-depth explanation of Aggro and some of the more intricate mechanics of it, you can ask that in the comments below. I might make a video about it at some point, I don't know. For now on though, I am assuming that you know that if you do action, boss does reaction. It's Newton's third law and shit. The way you deal with aggro on a mage is to understand and to use invisibility before you fuck up, and ice block for after you've fucked up. By staying invisible, you reduce all aggro on all enemies around you by 10% for every second. If you stay invisible for 7 or 8 seconds, you will most likely have a full threat reset. However, 7 to 8 seconds is a whole lot of time. Remember when I said the thing about damage per second? And I would suggest just asking for a Hand of Salvation, an Intervene, or maybe ask the Hunters or Rogues for more misdirections. So, my final thoughts on the Mage class. It is incredibly potent. I made it the top 1 DPS class, and that is for many reasons. They feel simple to play, gear pretty easily, and honestly there is no other class that rewards simple RNG as much as a Mage. That said though, I will say it's super stressful to play Mage in an endgame guild. It's probably just me, but if I'm playing on a class that I know that should be a top DPS, I put a lot of pressure on my own shoulders, but hey, that's how diamonds are made. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe if you want to see videos similar to this one. Peace out, ladies and gents.